All right, welcome everybody for this conversation. We are going to talk about a channeled message that is called The Great Remembering. I'm Lacey, this is my sister Jolie, and if you're getting weird like us, then you might find this conversation interesting. You're very invited and welcome to come and along for this journey of listening to this message and decoding this message and talking about the meaning of it, especially when it comes to anyone who's like us, who is waking up through the path of organized religion and having to understand things a little differently than how you understood it. The definition of things are going to be just a little bit different. But if you're up for the challenge, if you're along for the ride, it's going to change everything in your life, and you are going to be awakened, last days, waking up kind of person. So, welcome to the conversation. Let's get started. Jolie, do you want to start with reading your channeled message, The Great Remembering?
Sure. I don't know if you want to give any background on how we received these messages or how we got to this point.
Sure. So, really briefly, you and I grew up in organized religion, being Mormon, in fact, and I mean really Mormon, right? Like, so those who grew up in church will understand what we mean by that. Being Mormon or LDS or being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, I would describe it kind of like being Orthodox Christian. So it's the most, they hold on to everything very tightly. You live those tenets very, tightly. So long story short, we start finding so much information. We start waking up. We start following amazing teachers. We could list them for days. How many people started to change our thinking and our minds? And then we started getting into QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique, and we both started to become practitioners of that through those sessions. That really, for me anyway, started to open up my mind of, oh my gosh, everybody has access to the same information and they're all saying the same thing no matter what source I go to. They're all explaining it the same way. Oh my goodness, you and I started to change our ways of thinking. You and I started to do retreats. You and I started to do our own retreats. You and I started to do our own inner work. And then one thing leads to another. All of a sudden, Jolie, you discover you have the gift of channeling and you can channel messages. And how would you say that, who they're from, these messages?
They call themselves the beings of light. They call themselves beings of eternal oneness with the creating force of all that is. I would say they are a collective. They are a collective of angels, guides, um, really just a large melding of many spirits who have a very vested interest in humanity and where we're going as humanity, and really wanting to guide and assist us to get on the path of least resistance and to really enjoy this human experience and to release our suffering. They really want us to find joy and happiness.
Yes. And so that, you want to call it the other side, that includes everyone. It includes your ancestors, it includes your spirit guides, it includes the archangels, it includes all angels, it includes Source itself.
Yeah.
And this group says so many times they speak on behalf of Source. They speak on delivering Source's messages. And they have our highest interest in mind here to help guide us through this time of great remembering. So that is who you're contacting, channeling messages from. And they have this really, really beautiful message called The Great Remembering. Let's get into it.
All right, this is the message. We have spoken through this vessel of a time we call the Great Remembering, a time we say is now. You come into physical form, choosing to forget all that you are, the fullness of who you are beyond the physical and the power that you wield. We say the time of forgetting will now cease, and the time of remembering has been nigh and has now arrived. Now is the moment many will remember their desire to be upon the earth, for this was their prescribed time, remembering their desire to awaken in what many call the last days. Yes, we say, these are the last days for many as they have known them, for they will experience a rebirth, a shedding of the old as they transform into the days of new, a time of awakening, when they arise from their walking amnesia to behold a new earth, a new way of living, remembering they are lovers of light and lovers of love. Not all will hear the call to rise, and it is not your duty to gather the sleeping so that you may wake them. Allow them to slumber and awaken at their choosing. All beings decided upon the time of their awakening. No being is ever lost or wandering or lacking guidance. All beings are aware of the appointed time to rise. Do not cast judgment on beings who sleep. You do not understand the many motives one would choose to remain unawakened. It is not your obligation to tell them to rise, for there is much occurring that you have no knowledge of. Tend to your own awakening. Master holding a vibration that allows you to view all conditions and all beings without altering your frequency away from a state of love. You are now aware of a time you once thought distant, a time where you bring forward memories of the gifts chose to bring into this incarnation to help the all. You each hold a unique offering, and we have spoken in communication since past that now is the appointed time to discover that which you have been endowed and to share these endowments with all in need. We have spoken that we pour more light upon you at this time to assist you in your discovery of what you have held hidden away, the gifts and abilities you have forgotten. We say now is the appointed time, a time of great remembering, for many to reveal all that was once suppressed beneath the illusion of a powerless and disconnected human. Take hold of the light we offer, for our light has remembrance of your abilities. Walk upon this light and allow it to illuminate all that you held hidden away. Allow the light to reveal your true essence, to merge more of your divinity into your physical reality, a melding of divinity and physicality. Go now and live in light, for love is light.
Beautiful. I always love to end with love is light. Okay, so let's get into it. And we are going to speak from the space of waking up through organized religion. So having to let go of some of the old, rigid, defined ways that we saw things, opening up our minds to what it really means, because we have learned so many lessons. One of the biggest lessons, I always say, if I could tattoo one thing on my forehead, it would be it's an effing metaphor. It is not literal. Even if it was literal, it's not the point. It doesn't matter. That's not the argument we need to make. That's not the place we need to spend our attention to. We need to understand if it's a metaphor, but if it means something, but if it's symbolic, then what does it mean? So number one, we're going to let go of literal definitions. So let's put that away. I think the first thing we actually need to touch on really quick is a few building blocks to understand these things from coming from organized religion is the concept of one and done. We all were ingrained with this idea that we would come to Earth one time. And you got the deck of cards you were dealt. So some of us will have really beautiful experiences and really privileged lives, and then some of us will have nothing and will live a short, terrible life. So first and foremost, I think that's probably the first thing we need to clarify for people is that is not what's happening. You will come on earth as many times as you possibly want to. We know this through QHHT, how many lifetimes are being pulled forward or experienced or clarified for the person. So first and foremost, open up your mind to the idea that this is not your only time being here. So if this is not your only time being here, I think it actually makes it even more important. Then why are you here? Because you chose to come back again and you chose to do something again and you're here again. So then you had a purpose for that. There's something that you are here to do in this life that you haven't done in any other life. And you're here to do that in this life. And it really takes the edge off of feeling like, oh, well, I had one chance to get all these things done or to have these experiences, and that's all I have. No, you're going to do this so many times ad nauseum. And in fact, you're going to want to make things a little bit more difficult and a little bit more challenging and a little bit more, to push the envelope a little bit on your experience because you're going to do this so many times that it gets boring and it gets like, okay, yeah, I did that. And now I'm ready for a challenge. Okay. Do you want to add anything to the idea of multiple lives?
No, I think that's it. It's not, yeah, like you said, not a one and done experience. You don't, if you blow it, or if you think you blew it, you didn't. It was an amazing experience, but you get to come back again, and you think in your human, as your human self, that you're like, oh, I'm so over this. I'm so tired. I get back there. I'm never coming back to Earth again. And guess what? Everyone gets up there and goes, oh my gosh, everyone comes back. You all come back. You don't have to come back, but you all come back over and over and over again. And it tends to be with the same soul group. And our soul families can consist of thousands of people. So it's not just your immediate family. They can be bosses, coworkers, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends. Our soul family is made up of thousands of people that we interact with throughout our lifetime. But we tend to reincarnate or come back again with those people, again, learning lessons, just evolving as a soul on the soul level.
Well said. And I'll end it with this. Since we practice QHHT, we get a lot of clients that come in to ask, questions about their life path and their soul and their journey and what have they known and what have they been. And every time that I have a client ask, can we ask if this is my last life? I want to be done with Earth. Every time we've asked, no, sometimes they're a little like general with how they say their answer. So you'd have to decode it a little bit. But having been in the seat many times and heard the answer many times, this is You're
No,
good.
no.
Just FYI. So don't get attached to that too much. And also, it's only because you're going to be so glad to come back, and only you get to make that decision. So it's your choice. Nobody's making you come back. It's your choice. So, all right, let's move on now to the message because there's a few things here like huge. So, the first concept here is the great remembering and being in the last days. So, I want to touch on really quick this idea that you've likely heard of called the Akash. It means it's a library that holds the records of all of your existences, of who you are, everything you've ever done. You could go to your Akash and you could like see those things like a library. You could pull out the book, you could watch the video, whatever it is. I've also heard it described like a library card stamped with all of the lives that you've had, and you have a record of like, oh, it's your library card. I've also heard it say that it's just your soul record and it's your soul and it's your record. So you can access that now in the last days. We weren't able to before. But now, since we're in this time of great remembering, the lid is off, the Akash is open. Whereas before in other lives, you couldn't remember that you were also a baker or a scientist or whatever. Now, all of a sudden, it's changing. And do you have any thoughts on why it's happening now, what the purpose is of why they're taking the lid off the Akash? Why in this life, why is everything going to be accessible to us?
Well, I mean, there's many, I think there can be many different reasons, but I think as a whole, they're watching humanity and they're just like, man, they're just not getting it, you know? So they really, instead of coming back and we're just kind of recycling and regurgitating the same experiences over and over again, and we're just not progressing. And so now when they say, and I get this in a lot of my messages, that they are pouring more light upon us now because they want us to start remembering why we're here, what our path is, what our purpose is, so that we can start to, you know, been stuck. They want us to continue to evolve. And we haven't been evolving, I think, as quickly as they had hoped. And there's nothing right or wrong. It is what it is. We're not doing anything right or wrong, but they really want us to start moving forward. And so they're helping us, they're opening up our minds and our hearts to help us to start to remember why it is that we're here. What are we doing here? And it's not what we've been told. And they want us to understand that there is so much more. And regardless of what you've been told, that has been helpful for you to get you to where you are now. So they say, don't be mad at it. Okay. So you are here now. But there is so much more to discover. And we're here. They really want us to discover the fullness of who we are beyond the physical.
Beautifully said. I think also it's just the appointed time on Earth that the Earth is ascending. We are on Earth, ascending with Earth at the same time, which has evidently never been done before, as described by Dolores Cannon. And then the whole galaxy is just watching on the sidelines what's going on with Earth right now, because Earth as a planet, the people on her are all going to ascend at the same time. So it's the appointed time. It's for so many reasons. It's the second coming Jesus,
Right.
consciousness returning, all of us really tuning into what does that mean, and like raising up to a new awareness and understanding of what's really going on here. So now is the time. This is the definition of the last days, meaning the lid is off. We will have access to everything. And we're seeing this now. We're talking about AI, information, declassification of files, whistleblowers, because of, I would ascribe it to largely because of tech, because of technology, because of information being at our fingertips. Nothing will be hidden anymore. Everything is coming to light. You have no chance of really keeping anything hidden. Um, Everything will come to light. So along with that whole process happening, that means on a personal level, everything will come to light. We can now understand who we are, what all the lives we've ever lived. The beautiful thing about the lives we've lived, as described in here, is that we can go back and access any gift that we have cultivated in another life. So, do you want to give us an example of something like that?
It could be anything. Well, an example, I guess I could use myself personally, is that I've been told I have had this ability over many lifetimes. They've even spoken of a millennia that I have been doing this, and that I am just now remembering in this lifetime that, oh yeah, this is a gift that I have. This is something that I have done in the past. And so I am waking up to that, where I thought I was awake before. I'm like, I'm getting it. I'm so awake. Like I'm woke, right? No, I wasn't even close. So now I'm understanding, oh, so this was my gift. And this is a gift that I chose, that I choose to bring forward in every incarnation. And I use it to help myself, to help humanity, and to serve others in any way that I can. And I'm still discovering this gift. And I know there is more coming. And it's not just me. This is for every individual, for every person upon the planet. They're saying now is the time you're going to start to remember and discover these gifts that you've carried, these things that you've done in all your, well, past lives. They're not really past lives, but that's a whole rabbit hole we can go down. But
Yeah.
that you're remembering. It's the time of the great remembering that, oh, wow, this is the gift that I bring. And this is a gift that I've brought into every incarnation. And I know this well. And this is who I really am.
Mm-hmm. Well said. And so in Christianity, we might say gifts of the spirit. And in the woo universe, we might say clairescences, being clairvoyant, being claircognizant, being clairsentient. Every one of us has cultivated some type of ability, skills, and gifts. And yes, they could be in the realm of something really what we'd call fantastic, like channeling, but they can also be in the realm of because you were a scientist and you understand physics really well, or you have a really, what I notice also when somebody has a very high interest in something and like, oh, I've never really had any experience in my current life with this, but I've always been so fascinated with this period of history or this kind of concept or this whatever. I just can't get enough of it. I want to listen to it all the time or I want to do it all the time. Yeah, it's because you've done this many times and you're remembering how much you love it. And on a soul level, this is yours. That is something you cultivated. It's a life you lived and you have this ability. And now is the time that everything is going to be opened and you can call it forward now and apply it now in your life. Now is the time to hear the call to rise, meaning wake up, open your eyes to who you really are, and everything is open. So you can go back and pull all those gifts forward and say, I want them now. I want to remember everything I am. I want to have the abilities I've ever cultivated and had, and I want to bring them forward now. And on another rabbit hole, which we won't get into today, the method through which to do that is to ask Mother Gaia to give you what you have deposited here before in your other lives. I shouldn't say before in your other lives. She remembers you. She'll open up everything that you ever were or knew or had, and she'll give it to you now. So that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Um, okay, any other thoughts on that topic?
I mean, there's so much more, but just to keep it simple, yeah.
Okay. So also I want to touch on, they said no judgment about people who are still asleep. Okay. So this is hard, right? Because the more you wake up and the more you see things, the more you're like, oh my gosh. And you want everybody to wake up and you just want to be like, why are you still down there? Why are you still thinking these stupid things that are metaphorical, like a 3-year old? You're believing it hook, line, and sinker when it was only a metaphor. Ask why. Ask the next question. What does it mean? How does it apply to my life? Then what, well, if that means this, then what does this mean? Start asking the questions. Who am I really? What is really going on here? So, of course, you want that for everyone. But in the message, they said, don't fix with anyone because, go ahead, pick it up. Because
Uh,
what?
you have no idea what their path and purpose is. They obviously came to Earth with a certain desire. You have no idea. So you know, putting yourself, inserting yourself into their circumstance, that's not your job because we have no awareness of what their path and purpose is. And from your physical standpoint, it could be like, well, that looks terrible. And that life, they could be living something so much better and they could be so much more fulfilled and they could be so much happier and they don't have to, be doing these things that are causing them pain. But on a soul level, that is something that their soul chose for them to experience and they have to come out of that on their own. Doesn't mean you can't be supportive and you can't be there for your friends and family, but it is not your job to insert yourself into their situations. They are learning things, they are learning lessons through that process, and some may awaken in this lifetime and some may not, and that is none of your business.
Yep.
The bottom line is
Yep.
it's your business.
Yep.
So what they say tend to your own awakening, tend
Yes.
to your, they say we are eternal students, we are eternal seekers, we should be questioning everything, we are always on this path of discovery, and that will never end, because that path of discovery is eternal. And so they say, go inside and focus on your own awakening.
Yes. So I would define what does it mean, like what happens when you have your own awakening? And one part that was like a little bit like, oh, that makes sense, but I didn't quite understand it like that was this, which is, okay, so what's going to happen when you start to wake up? The first thing that's going to happen is the big they is what I call them now. I don't know, the other side, whatever you want to call it, the source and all the people that are on the other side, whatever you want to call it. I just call it the big they. The big they are going to provide you with ample opportunities to look at your uncomfortable feelings. Hasn't it been so fun to look at all of our uncomfortable feelings and
Oh,
worries and things that we've held about ourselves and other people? And so that is awakening. It's looking at all the stuff that we would like to cover up and to never come to light, or like we regret it. Like it's those 3 a.m. thoughts when you're like, oh, I said this, or oh, I did that. Remember that one time when I did that thing? Ah, those things are just fine. They're beautiful. They're a testament to your experience here, and nothing needs to be changed. Let it stand. And in fact, they even want you to put the light on it. Let it stand. This is a beautiful journey. This is how you are learning. This is how you are evolving. There's nothing you've ever done wrong. So it's waking up to realizing, oh my gosh, I'm actually a perfect being. Oh my gosh, I'm actually God incarnated in this physical, forgetting who I really am, thinking I'm this small physical being who's screwing things up or doing it wrong, not getting it right. And the first part of awakening is, I think I would say this. I would say it's looking at all of your uncomfortable garbage that you've kept thinking that you did it ever, did it wrong, did it bad, harmed someone, did something wrong. You're going to have to let it all go because that's not how they see it. And that's not at all what's really going on here. Embracing all of it as a beautiful phases and chapters of who you are, all of it together, not wanting to like push anything out of your story. No, embrace it, pull it in. Everything is part of the whole. Everything needs to be brought in and loved and accepted just the way it happened, just the way it was. When you understand all of that, then I think that leads you to the higher understanding of who you really are. And who you really are is what we would equate in Christianity, the like white God. That is the level of who you already are. You just remember you're waking up to, oh my gosh, who am I really? That's the type of level I really am. Um, how would you describe waking up or this great remembering?
Right. And I agree. It's accepting and loving all of those parts of yourself. And once you can do that for yourself, then you can do that for everyone else. And that you can love and accept all the different parts of them, which is really challenging because we look at things and we, from our human perspective, like that is wrong, or that's not nice, or they were mean to me, or they were, and and every time I go back to these beings of light, and let's say I have a question or a circumstance, they will never join me in a negative thought against somebody else. And that's how you know you're channeling the higher consciousness, because they will never join me. They will never speak ill of anyone or any circumstance, because they love it all. They love us all. And everything is purposeful. And you're not here making mistakes and doing things wrong. I think we've got real hung up on what's right and what's wrong. And there is nothing right or wrong going on here. We're here having these experiences and we're learning, and we're evolving through the process of learning.
Yes. And I've heard it say that we love these opportunities to forget who we are, to discover who we are through a new way that would never hit like it does when you totally forget who you are. And then you're like, wow, I'm what? How amazing. And it wouldn't hit like that if you just like walked around all the time being like, yeah, cool, cool, cool. Okay, really quick, I want to go back to the message because it described what you just said so perfectly. And I just want to restate this again. So going back to the message, it says, tend to your own awakening. Master holding a vibration that allows you to view all conditions and all beings without altering your frequency away from the state of love. Ooh, that's a tall order.
Right. And I think it's so true. I mean, no matter if it's, people in your life or it's something on the news or, something going on in the world, that you can view that and be a neutral observer of that. And that's the state that they want us to get into, where we're not viewing something and having judgments about it, because that just pulls us back into, being, real physical, I guess. But they want us to be able to view these things and to not remove ourselves from a state of love. And that we can be, just in a state where we're unfazed,
Yeah.
by we hold our vibration, we can hold this vibration of love, no matter what we are observing in our lives or around the world.
Yes. And I would also say, why is that so important? Because if you can't maintain that, then you're just going to slip into a state of fear. Like, you're watching things that are going on in the world and you're in your community or people that you even know. And it's very easy to slip into a state of what we call fear. And that word is used so much. And so really what I want to say is a state of like, oh no, like, oh, I'm so sad that's happening to them. Oh, I don't want that to happen to them. Oh, okay, well, those are, of course, all beautiful things, and we should focus on what we do want to happen. So if you really want to help them, you focus on how you'd like to see them. You'd like to see them healthy, you'd like to see them well, all those things, yes. but there's no need to slip into a state of like, I'm afraid. I'm afraid for my safety, or I'm afraid for them, or I'm afraid, I'm having fear. That's not
They
what's going
right.
on.
They do say it is important. If you go there, it's perfectly fine. If
Yep.
you're
There's no judgment about anything.
right, having that awareness, like, oh, okay, I've slipped into this place where I'm really fearful. This doesn't serve me, but it's okay. They don't want you to do the spiritual bypassing,
Mhm.
right? We all talk about that's the term right now. That's popular. They don't want us to do that. They want us to feel those feelings. So if you are feeling fear, that's okay. Go ahead and feel that, but don't stay there. That's what they're talking about. Don't
I
stay in
think
that.
seeing everything accurately. You don't need to stay there, because if you'll put on a new pair of glasses and see it correctly, it's like there's two things going on. There's the state of the physical, and we can see that with our physical eyes, and we would have judgment about what's going on in the physical. But that's just the video game. That's not what's really going on. The real thing that's going on is the higher perspective, it's the higher way of seeing it. That's the real space, and that's what's really going on. And that space has a grand design for everything, and how they choose to do their work, how they choose to get it done is really none of our business. And they're choosing that. So there's nothing going awry. Everything is a wonderful opportunity. Everything. Everything is a wonderful opportunity and new rebirth. So that's not how they see it. They're not concerned at all that terrible, as we in the physical will describe, terrible things are happening. No, that's not really what's happening. And everybody will be completely restored and made whole from everything that they will ever experience. Have no worry about your neighbor. Have no worry about yourself. Have no worry about anything. Everything, everyone, every situation will be perfectly healed, and created whole again. Any thoughts on that one?
Right, and they've given that to me in a prior message where they've said yes, through these last days, through transitioning from the old into the new, all you will be made whole again. So we will really have the opportunity to heal ourselves mentally, emotionally, physically, and to be made whole again. There is never any part of you that can't be healed, or that you can't bring back into balance. And they're saying now is the time that we will see that happening, occurring upon the planet.
Yes, beautiful. So they also gave us the formula for how to do this. And it's at the very end. I'm going to read it really quick. It says, take hold of the light we offer, for our light has remembrance of your abilities. So this is kind of like a weird concept. And they always love to say light is love, and light it up and illuminate everything, and light is the answer. So light is like more awareness. It's like understanding something, like, you turn on the light bulb of like, oh, I get it. I would describe it as the light is like that. How would you describe this light that they say that they're offering us?
Right. And I think that's the same thing. Awareness. It's more awareness. It's coming into a realization of what's really happening and who you really are. And so that's why they keep saying, as I said before, we pour more light upon you. They want us to start to wake up to realize, oh, wait a minute. Maybe the reality is not really the things that I'm viewing, this is not really what's happening. This is not really the reality. It's not really real. There's more, behind the curtain. It's like, oh, wait a minute, what's happening here? So they're talking about they're pouring more light. I think it's more awareness of who we are and why we're here, and our
Yep.
gifts and abilities, things that we're bringing forward. We're starting to remember. It's a remembering.
Yep. And so then they go on to say, walk upon this light and allow it to illuminate all that you have held hidden away. So, how would you decode walk upon this light?
I just think they're giving us like here's the pathway. All the information is now available, right? They're
Mhm.
saying nothing is being withheld from you. Everything is available, but you need to seek it out. You need to walk upon it. They're not, here. We still have free will, so they are doing their best to give us more opportunities. I think to find this light, to find more awareness of who we are and our path and our purpose. So I think that's really it. It's just, they want us to continue to discover that we didn't come here to just learn one truth and then like the end, end of story. That was it. Don't ask any questions. You're just going to live this life and then maybe you'll find out after you make your transition. No, they're saying so much more to discover. Keep discovering, keep walking upon the light that we are offering because there is more that is being revealed at this time.
And I would describe walk upon a light as take your new belief, hold the new belief, and now take action in life with the new belief. Let go of the old junk and take action, like walk upon it, like take steps. take steps forward, look at and see things differently, and through that lens, then take some steps forward in your life. So that's how I would describe it. And then it says, okay, say, eliminate all that you have held hidden away. What do people hold hidden away, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's everything. It's all it can be good things, but it can also be things, our hurts, our things that we've experienced that we don't discuss, we don't talk about, we bury it. We hope it will just go away. And they've said in previous messages, these things don't go away. They're going to follow you. They're going to follow you, even through the transition known as death. And we know there is no death, but what we call death, these things will follow you because they want us to dig them up, to look at them, to hold them, to examine them, and to understand the context, why these things happened. And once we can understand it and realize, oh, I see, I can connect these dots at that point in time. Okay, you can release it and let it go. But it's a part of you. It's something that happened, and you need to accept everything, all of it. There's nothing that is wrong or bad that you shouldn't, accept or look at. So I think that's where I mean, my interpretation, that's how I feel that when they speak about that.
Agree. So I've done 12-step work for many years. And so I've been a sponsor in 12-step for many years. I've sponsored many a person. And so I've heard so many inventories. In an inventory, you look at all the stuff that you kept hidden in your closet and you close the door on it and you turned off the light and you hope that nobody would ever go in there and see your shit that you held in there. And then the awakening process of what they're saying right here is go ahead and open the door, go ahead and turn on the light, and go ahead and pull every single piece of that shit that you put in that closet. Pull it all out. Let's look at it. Let's examine it because there was nothing ever wrong with it. You judged it that it was
Right.
bad. You judged it that it was unworthy. And then therefore there are parts of you that you have judged as unworthy or not no good. Nobody would like this about me. And certainly nobody would love this about me. And they would have judgment about me if they knew that I did this thing or this thing happened to me and da, 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 whatever it is. So they're saying clearly here, illuminate all that you have held hidden away, and you will heal yourself when you do this. You will come into full acceptance of who you are and full unconditional love of who you are, and all parts of you that have kind of been, I would say it like this, you've scattered away certain parts of you or certain parts of your experiences, help wanting to hold them aside from you, away from you, saying, don't touch me. I'm not really like that because that thing was bad and I can't be bad. So I got to put that away from me. Pull it in. It's part of you, it's part of your experience. Nothing was ever wrong. It was beautiful the way that it happened. And then we're just about out of time. So just to wrap up here, continuing to talk about what they're saying here is allow the light to reveal your true essence, to merge more of your divinity into your physical reality, a melding of divinity and physicality. Go now and live in light, for light is love. What is your definition or decoding of that?
Right. They've spoken that now is the time where we will have this melding, this merging of more of our divinity into our physical reality. So they're saying now is a time you're becoming more aware that you are not just this physical being. You are divine. You are actually spirit housed in this physical body. This is your container. They like to use that word a lot with me. Container, that's your vehicle that you're moving around planet Earth in, but this is not who you are. And so they're saying you are going to have more awareness of who you really are, the spirit that you are, the soul that you are, while you are in physical form. So we no longer have to wait till we make that transition to wake up and go, oh my gosh, like, oh, I spent this whole lifetime and I had no awareness at all that I was not just this human, person named Jolie with this family, and I lived in this place, like that there was so much more to that which I am. And they're saying now is the time that you're going to discover that while you're on the earth, while you're living, to help evolve you and to help you level up.
Yep. Wake up. Now is the time to remember. Now is the time that everything is accessible to you. It's equal playing field now. We can all
Right.
have whatever we want to have, all remembrance of who we are. And everyone, I shouldn't say that. So many people are waking up and so many people are on the same journey and ride. So I hope that that conversation maybe helped you rethink some things a little bit and it challenged you to have to look into your closet and pull some stuff out that needs the light of love and acceptance shown on it and no longer banish those things and those experiences and those parts of you as being bad in any way. Pull them in, love them, accept them, and let them come into the fullness of who you are. They have a part to play. They have a message. They have an experience, and each parts are crucial and vital to the whole is my opinion on that. Any last words for this discussion?
Not for this discussion. They love to end every message with go now and live in light, for love is light. So they tell me all the time that love is light. And they are hoping that we remember that we are lovers of love and lovers of light.
Awesome. That sounds like a beautiful note to end on. So go be lovers of love, go be lovers of light. And until next time, thank you everybody for joining us.